Hare Krishna. I'd like to call upon the stage here, His Grace Lila Purushottam Prabhu. So, Lila Purushottam Prabhu, as you know, is a professor. He's not only a professor in ISKCON, but he's actually a professor in IIT Kanpur and a director at the Bhaktivedanta Gurukul International School, Vrindavan. And Prabhu is going to speak about the topic of consciousness-driven education. Thank you, Lila Purushottam Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Tapan Mishra Prabhu, and I'm really honored to be among all of you, exalted souls. We don't really get an opportunity to speak such an august audience, so I am really grateful, and particularly the organizers for giving me this opportunity. Can anybody figure out what is this? This is Alexa, okay, in everybody's home. Today, only yesterday, the topmost, management guy, Professor Dr. Gautam Shroff, he asked me whether this will be a reality, self-driving car. These are all probably those who are into healthcare, personalized healthcare. This is Sophia, the robot that can speak to you. It can sit with you and can make immediately a paint, your own painting. So this is a robot that has been built by Hanson Robotics. So question is that why I'm putting all this? Because children in general, and we are all getting habituated to all these appliances. And who is after this? The big buzzword is AI. I think 2 weeks back, Anuttam Prabhu, when he was discussing with me, he requested me if I can make a video presenting the AI in a perspective so that people don't think soul has become irrelevant, right? So what is consciousness? And if you see the title, I talked about consciousness-driven education. So what is consciousness? So all of you know much better than me, but as Gita, 2nd chapter, Krishna says, consciousness is that which is always existing, eternal, right? It cannot be destroyed, it is immutable, it is immovable, it is unburnt, it is uncut, and so on and so on. And we have not seen, really, we don't experience something that cannot be burnt, something that cannot be destroyed. Unless we have our own experience of our own divinity, probably we cannot say for sure this is true, right? So possibly, and it has no property, and of course consciousness is free from ignorance, always situated in knowledge and transcendental joy. It has no property that is observable in physical realm. So here possibly it is not a subject that we can talk much within physical domain, okay? So when I say conscious driven education, what does it mean? Because we deal with physical world, we live in the physical world, we belong to this place, right? So the question is, now can we build a conscious machine, right? How many of you say yes or no? Yes, raise your hand. Can we build a conscious machine? Only one. How many of you believe we can't build it? So majority. So now, here is the quote from Srimad Bhagavatam, 3.23.20. This is the context. Kardama Muni has built an aerial mansion for the pleasure of his own good wife, Devahuti. Here and there in that palace were multitudes of live swans and pigeons as well as artificial anything. Does this object has anything to do with consciousness? Actually, if you go to Bhagavad Sankhya, these are all part of consciousness. In fact, in this world, nothing beyond consciousness. Sarvam Khalvedam Brahmam. This is a Shastric statement. So what is this? This is somebody's consciousness has been projected to give a shape this. In fact, matter is invisible. Matter doesn't have form. Abhyakta. what is Bhakta is actually spirit. Spirit has a form. So now if you look at here, this is Sophia. I think in October we organized a conference in Delhi in Le Meridian. Hanson Robotics, who has built this, brought this, less propaganda about our conference and more propaganda about this robot. So what about this? What is the difference between this and this? This again, so we say projected consciousness, but this is passive. This is also projected consciousness, but active. Okay? So it looks like as if it has, she has her own mind and blah, 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 blah. And what about here? This is what you and me, right? We are conditioned conscious being. We can have both the mundane experience as well as divine experience. So based on that, I can feel sometime part of this world or part of this world. So that's why tatastha, right? And this is where pure consciousness. In a pure conscious level, in 4th canto, 29th chapter, I think 69th verse, where in fact this is a instruction to prachetas, where it is being told that a person who is in perfect in Krishna consciousness can see past, present and future, right? And of course finally absolute consciousness. So basically we are dealing always with consciousness, right? You know that in our traditional Indian culture, we are not supposed to give salt in loan to another house. And the reason is salt has the ability to carry my consciousness to another's house. So normally people don't take. If I have a lot of debt, most likely if somebody takes salt from my house to another house, that person will enter into debt. So this kind of notion were already there in our culture, but I will not tell about that much. But I'll just give you a little idea about why. Because everybody is talking AI. The funds are only for AI. Educational institutions are going to be transformed because of AI. Indian government now has started the program where AI, artificial intelligence, must be taught from the standard 8 onwards, right? Now I'll give you an example of what is AI. This is my lab. This is a setup. Can you play that? So you see this is a robot. This robot has been empowered by AI algorithm, and this has been given a list of some items, right? For example, in this case 10 items, and it has to, using a camera, it has to figure out where that item within this rack in a specific box. When he finds out, it picks it and puts in the delivery package there. When we were small kids, my mother would give a list. We used to go to the grocery shop, hand over the list, and he used to give the items and we used to bring. The same thing exactly being done by the robot here. How many of you think if this robot looks like a human being, this is non-different from human being? Or it is different from human being? So many would say, but I think that you have a reason. But I gave this talk in a teachers principal conference in Dehradun, where CBSE director was sitting there, and he said there is no difference. And I have to actually tell him why there is a difference. And most of us actually do not really understand why there is a difference. There is a difference. And this, within our scientific community, we said this is part of weak AI. Weak AI. But what is strong AI? Strong AI, machine with artificial consciousness. Okay? We have not built it. Now, this is, I will not go in detail because this is blah, 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 blah. Because to do that, what we did, my students, they have to solve all these problems. Technical problems they have to solve themselves, and this is a hard program. And just to explain to you how this works, just a small level, I'll tell you this is a simple architecture, looks like very crazy, and that is what has to be conceived by a researcher, like my PhD student called Indrajno from Indonesia. And what he did, he found some mathematical expression called energy associated with the system, and he had to make the change of that energy to be negative. He came up with some mathematical expression and came to my office and saying, oh, I don't understand how to go further. I sat with him with a pen and pencil and paper, and within probably half an hour, I came up with these two crazy like equations, right? And I told him that you please go, place this expression here, and show me the rate of change of energy is negative definite. He came back after half an hour, said it works. And then can you play on this? And after that, he had programmed these equations, he had programmed into this robot onboard computer. And then you see that what his robot is doing. Robot is following a ping ball while maintaining a distance between a ping ball and the end effector. And looks very wonderful. And we have done many robot playing tennis and everything we can do. But what you are seeing here, imagine Sachin Tendulkar, the cricket icon in India. He doesn't understand ABC of this mathematics. He knows how to hit the ball for 4 at 6. Or Diego Maradona, he knows how to trap a ball and score a goal without knowing ABC of this mathematics. How does he do? So this is the difference between what we do in scientific community. This is called reductionist mathematical computation. That means we think something and that our thinking has to be reduced in terms of mathematics and then bring into the machine. Whereas we do computation, that is conscious computation, much higher than the higher level computation than the computation that I am trying to show you. So particularly students nowadays, with the gadgets of AI coming, they are going to challenge us that why you are talking about consciousness. We have to challenge ourselves to find answer. I will tell you because this is a very topic. In fact, I gave this topic because inspired by Anuttam Prabhu's challenge to me that how so you see that what is consciousness? In Bhagavad Gita, there are two descriptions of consciousness. One is, which you always learned theoretically, probably most of us didn't understand it, or we understood a little bit. That which pervades the entire body is known to be indestructible. No one is able to destroy that imperishable soul. Obviously, when I talk about my own consciousness, here in bodily consciousness, everything is destroyable. Okay, my pain, pleasure, everything will be destroyed. At the time of death, everything is gone. So then what Krishna is saying that is indestructible. What is that consciousness? That is only true for those who are seers of truth, who constantly experiencing their own divinity. Okay, and for them only they realize that is indestructible. So when you have perfected yourself, the divine consciousness that you experience throughout your body is indestructible. But what about here? In 2.70, Krishna is saying, a person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enter like rivers into the ocean, which is ever being filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, not the man who strives to satisfy such desires. So, this is pattern. We are all subjected to pattern. More you associate, more patterns entered within us. This is not consciousness. This can be disturbed. And this is what a person who is in knowledge, who is situated in consciousness, qua consciousness as it is, he can only behave like this. Otherwise, we are all very ordinary mortal beings. Now in 13.6.7, Krishna says what is not part of consciousness. Okay, the 5 great elements, false ego, intelligence, unmanifested, the 10 senses, the mind, the 5 sense object, desire, hatred, happiness, distress, the aggregate, the life symptoms and conviction, all these are considered in summary to be field of activities and its interaction. It has nothing to do with consciousness. So when I said, can we build a conscious machine? Yes, because using this, we can build a conscious machine. But this has nothing to do with the divine consciousness which is eternal, right? But still we can do. So people ask this chemical origin of life, right? So this is where our life cycle has begun, right? So I started from this first cell, okay, given by my father and mother. Now I am 120 trillion cells, okay? And so this, what has happened to me from single cell to 120 trillion cells, There is an evolution both in terms of hardware and software. And this is exactly a person called John von Neumann. He's a Hungarian professor. He wrote a book called Self Theory, The Theory of Self-Reproducing Automata. In 1940, 49-50, he conceived and he wrote the book. Somebody wrote his lectures in the form of a book, 1966, which became one of the 100 best books in the last century. Okay, so the question here is, we have not done any of this. We cannot make a molecule grow in terms of hardware and software. We have not done it. Point is, we must know what we have done. For example, in the next slide, living organism machine. You see, it experiences hunger, fear, sleep, sexual desires. No AI machine has all these properties. Machine, this living organism has a self-replication, right? From a plant to seed, seed to plant, self-replication in all living organisms. No self-replication here. Also creativity, no creativity there, right? You get a Nobel Prize for your creativity. A machine, can we make a machine that can get a Nobel Prize? So these are the questions, fundamental question. So an opportunity. So when AI has gone, there is a big buzz. People would try, smash us saying, where is the soul? We need to tell, yes, there is an opportunity. Have you heard about this statement? We describe the world because the world is indescribable. This is one anonymous philosopher has written. But this is exactly what in 11th canto Krishna talks to Uddhava, that the world cannot be described. I'll just explain to you. A cell is not understood. You know what is a cell? I'm 120 trillion cells. A single cell, if you take, you cannot see that cell in your naked eye. You need a microscope, right? And you get a microscope. Suppose there is a microscope of the power 10 to the power 8 and there is another microscope 10 to the power 12. So 10 to the power 8, you see one thing about the cell. When 10 to the power 12 magnifying power, you see something amazing. And exactly a year back, one person got Nobel Prize because he could have access to a very highly powerful microscope and he could see, the cell in an amazing way. Is there any end? Today I have 10 to the power 12 microscope magnifying power. Day after tomorrow I'll have 10 to the power 22. Then 90. There is no limit. So you can have more and more magnifying power, and with that power, the more you see the cell simply remains elusive. You can never understand what is a cell ultimately. Same thing will happen to atom or consciousness, cosmos, and forget about consciousness. So the biggest gain from the current overwhelming interest in AI is that consciousness has come to the forefront of discussion. I gave a talk on can we build a conscious machine in MIT in 2018, October, and the scientists there asking me, tell us about consciousness. They are not interested in computer programming. They are not interested in cellular automata. They are not interested in all the tools and technology that AI has brought in, right? So everybody wants to understand what is consciousness. And we should be very happy that we have got a job in our hand. Now you see the crisis. Many people talked about it. I will not go in detail about it. But you know that recently around 70 scientists on behalf of International Program on Climate Change, this is a body of United Nations, they have written an article and literally all newspaper focused on it. This article has come in Nature. Eat less meat, UN climate change report calls for change to human diet. In fact, there is, BBC reported saying the world will be destroyed unless you go vegetarian, right? And this is based on scientific study that how the animal slaughtering is actually destroying the ecology so violently that all the species will become extinct. So this is where I am from, Bhaktivedanta Gurukula. This is situated in 100 acres of land in Vrindavan, and when we took this land, because we wanted a bigger land, after we took the land, we figured out this land is alkaline, salty. We called for district agriculture officer, we called for soil conservationist, and they said hopeless, you are being cheated. And some within ISKCON also in big management, they told hopeless thing. And then I sent one of my staff to a camp or done by Subhas Palekar, because we knew if Gomata is there, all soil can be transformed. In fact, when I was teaching Bhagavad Gita in IIM Indore, I had visited an organic farm, and there Mr. DK, he was holding a huge piece of soil and asked me, what is the weight of this? I saw it is a huge piece, so I suggested it may be at least 10 kilo. And then he handed over that, and I tightened my muscle to hold it, and suddenly I felt that this is only 200 to 300 gram. Then he told me that this piece of soil has around 10 to the power 15 microbes. They grow in cow dung, right? And they eat this mud, soil, make it porous and easy for, or is a plant friendly, right? So you see there is a, and my staff went, got trained, we trained for that, and now in the same land we are growing wheat, that is necessary for our Gurukul, rice necessary for our Gurukul, all kind of vegetables. In fact, this time when I went, the broccolis are just getting destroyed, getting spoiled, because so much we are growing. The what is that called, cauliflower, everything in abundance from a land that was absolutely alkaline. All glory to Gomata. Simply take the microbe from the cow dung and then give it what you say, it is a antiseptic medium called cow urine, and culture it for 72 hours. They grow, they multiply like anything in the medium of jaggery and chene powder, and then you get a wonderful friend. Okay, so can you finish this? Yeah.
So I welcome all of you to come to our new campus, Vrindavan.
I think because of lack of time, I will not be able to show everything about this land. You can stop now, go to the next one. Yeah. Okay. So, you say that we engage our students in organic farming, in designing water filter. You can see they use the waste management. They build mud brick, and they learn how to plaster the wall using the cow dung, and all these things. I will end this with I'll take 2 minutes, Tapan, Mr. Prabhu. I just want to let you know that how we can really teach things the way students can appreciate. One thing is, suppose I have to teach infinity. Now Krishna is infinite, right? When I say infinity, it is inconceivable. How can you explain a student, a small kid? And in fact, I did an experiment, and I will tell you how did I teach my student what is infinity. Okay, this will be my last slide. There are many things to tell, but this is all right for. Okay, so give me 2 minutes, I will explain to you. You say, this is a, suppose I say 10 to the power 9999999. This is a finite quantity or infinite quantity? All of you understand this is a finite quantity, right? But do you understand what this number is? Anybody can conceive it? I'll try to make you conceive what is 10 to the power 18. It's small, very small. What is 10 to the power 18 and what is 10 to the power 999? It is inconceivable compared to this, right? So let us try to understand what is 10 to the power 18. In fact, many of our physics book written by very well acclaimed professors, they have given the story. This is an Indian story. You see, in earlier days in India, Brahmins would never get salary. They will never take salary. They will run Gurukulas, they will do things that is benefit for the society, but they will go to the king, they will demonstrate their whatever they are doing, their intellectual capability, and king is satisfied, he will give some generous donation. This used to be the modus operandi in earlier days, right? So one Brahmin went, he was running a Gurukul, he wanted some funds. Here is the king. King was busy. He said, sir, I want to sow something. He said, king said, I have no time, I am so busy. Tell me whatever you want, I will give you. I have heard about you. So he opened, surprisingly, a chessboard and said, sir, please put 1 grain here, 2 grain here, 4, 8, 16, like that. You multiply, double it, and give me that much grain. And there are, how many blocks are there? 64. It looks very, very little. And king chastised him. You are a bhikmanga, you are a beggar. You don't know how to actually beg. I am telling you, I will give you everything. Right? This person was so stubborn, said, I only need this much. And king ordered his minister that please give him whatever he wants. He is simply a beggar. And he left. After hours, the minister came to the king and said, sir, our treasury is completely empty. What happened? No, we have not even gone to the 50% of his boxes and our treasury is empty. So now I will explain to you what happened actually. This is 2, this is 4, this is 6. That means this is 2 to the power 0, 2 to the power 1, 2 to the power 2. Like this is 2 to the power 63 number of grains. So 2 to the power 63 grains are actually 9.2 into 10 to the power 18. That many grains. I told my students, please compute what is the weight of this. So our students, they took because we grow our own grain, they took it, and there is a weighing machine in physics laboratory, they put it. And they found 100 grains, approximately 1 gram. Right? So 1 metric ton is 1000 kilo. So 1 grain is 10 to the power minus 5 metric ton. Right? According to that calculation. So 2 to the power 63 grain is 92 billion metric ton. Can you imagine this? 92 billion. Now you see what's happening here at the current state is there. In current state, in 51st box, where the total number of grains will be 2 to the power 50, that is 11 million metric ton. And Japan is producing that amount of grain, rice grain, okay? Then you go to the 52nd box, double up that obviously. So 11 million, that will be 22 million. And that is being produced by Philippines. You go to the next one, the 54th box. I have skipped 53rd, there is a reason. 54th, because 22, 44 will become 88. So that is being produced approximately by Indonesia. Now I go to the next one, 55th, you get 176 million metric ton. And India produces only 155 metric ton. And you go to the next one, you require 352 million metric ton, and China, the highest producer of rice, is only producing 201 million metric ton. So where the grain will come? So when you explain the students, they really understand even 2 to the power, 10 to the power 18 is not available in the world. So when we speak about this, this is inconceivable. And finally, obviously, Krishna, the source of everything, has to be inconceivable. Okay, I thank you very much for your present hearing, and also thank Tapan Mr. for allowing me to speak more than...
We'll take one question at least, Prabhu. We have time. Balimadan Prabhu here. Prabhu, can you speak loudly and I'll hear for you.
You know, quick question, maybe we can give a quick light answer. So, Gerald, the Edelman, the Nobel Prize winner, when he made the statement by getting the shape and the form of the human being or any animal's creature is generally dependent on the CAM, the cell adhesion molecules group formula and all. But from consciousness perspective, we have seen Prabhupada's conversation with Tamal Krishna Maharaj that a person was born with a mark here in the forehead because in the previous birth he was attacked by killed, so that imprint was there in the next birth. So how the consciousness is linked in the previously in this one in terms of the molecular adhesions which the Nobel Prize winner making it. Can you make a link between those?
Okay, so I'll give a very short answer. You see that we have two categories of memory. You have a memory of 120 trillion cells that is coming from your father, his father, his father, his father, his father. This is called genealogy. And then you have a karmic memory, that is your own journey, that is mental, subtle body coming. So this is a complex memory you are carrying. And that is why actually this would have been, I would have told about that in the subsequent thing. What is your nature? And Prabhupada explains dharma means your occupational duty. Our education system has failed miserably because we do not explain to you what is your nature. You are an intellectual being, you are an administrative class, you are a business class, or you are a service provider. We have no way, because of the science is so syntactic. So the adult man will talk nonsense because he is a scientist ingrained in syntactic science. And people slowly now throwing away the syntactic science. That requires a little more deliberation. What is the distinction between semantic science and syntactic science? In fact, this century, if Krishna wills, will bring in a semantic science. And that semantic science will tell us more about ourselves than the way the things are being projected to us in a very syntactic manner. Yeah.
Lila Purushottam Prabhu, thank you so very much. Now I know Lila Purushottam Prabhu's trick of being able to raise the funds for possibly the largest educational project within ISKCON. Right. So I wouldn't be surprised if Prabhu went and placed a chessboard in front of some rich people. Start with 1 paisa, that's all I need. Well, we really hope that the semantic science and this process of being able to identify nature comes into being so that our founder Acharya's vision can be fulfilled. Thank you so very much, Lila Purushottam Prabhu. Prabhu's come all the way in his busy schedule from IIT Kanpur to come and be with us.